Hi, I'm Amanda and welcome back to Running on Points. This time we are going to break down the New York City Marathon, which I just finished this past weekend for the 2023 race. So let's take a look at all the ins and outs from the start to the end of Marathon weekend. The first stop for Marathon weekend is the Expo, which is located at the Javits Center. We decided to walk from our hotel near Bryant Park, and to be honest, it wasn't that pleasant of a walk. There wasn't much to see, and it was about 1.5 miles. So I would say my first tip is don't waste your legs the day before the race walking to and from the Expo unless you're using it as like your shakeout jog. Otherwise, just take a Uber or something to get yourself there. Once you're at the Expo, it is huge. They've done a really good job of organizing it so that first you get your bib, and then you go get your t-shirt, and then you go through the Expo, and it moves nicely. However, just know that you're in for a lot of lines. If my kids had come with on this trip, the Expo would not have been something I would have wanted to do with them. So just keep that in mind that you're going to be there for a while and you're going to be standing in lines. I was pretty bummed that by the time I went, which was the Saturday morning time slot, they were already out of my size race shirt. So it's getting shipped to me and won't arrive until December. When we went through the New Balance merchandise section, they were also out of a lot of things by the Saturday morning slot. So if it's really important to you to have things like your race shirt or to make sure that you can buy the things that you want to buy from the merchandise, I would pick one of the earlier slots for the Expo. If you can go on Friday or even Thursday when they first open, that would be my recommendation if you really want to make sure everything is there for the Expo. The part that I loved most about the Expo was the wall of names. They have it set up so that you can find your name written on the wall. That was really cool. Found myself. And they have a lot of really good locations for taking pictures with your bib and getting pumped up for race day. Now it's just about time for the race. Race morning, I should start by explaining to you the outfit I'm wearing, because the things you're going to see in some of these videos, I didn't go crazy. Yes, I am wearing an elephant on my head. That elephant and I ran together for about 17 miles before I ditched it with my family because I got too hot. But the elephant hat and the sleeves are because I was running for the Zambezi Elephant Fund as my charity of choice. And they are working to make sure that there is conservation of habitat and education for people in the Zambezi Valley in order to make it a more equitable place for elephants and people to be together. So you should definitely check out the Zambezi Elephant Fund and everything that they are doing for elephants and people in Zimbabwe. So that explains the crazy hat that you'll see throughout the race. Race morning started with my selection for transportation to the race. So you have different options. You could take the Staten Island Ferry, you could take the Midtown Manhattan bus. There are some different ways to get there. I was staying in a hotel on Bryant Park, right by the New York Public Library, which happens to be the pickup location for the Midtown Manhattan bus. So that worked out great for me. Check out our video review of the Andaz 5th Avenue where we stayed so you can learn all about that location. But because I was staying there, I chose the 6 a.m. Midtown Manhattan bus. When I first walked out of the hotel, I could see the buses. I was like, this is gonna be great. So this is why you stay at the Andaz for the race. So here's my hotel, Andaz, and then, hold on, there's the buses I'm getting on, so pretty easy. But what I didn't know was the snaking line to get in line for the buses that ended up being a little over 1/2 mile of lines that I was in to get back to those buses to get on and head to Staten Island. Luckily, I made two new friends, shout out to Tasha and Elisa, in line and ended up spending my whole race morning with them, which made it a much more pleasant experience as I waited in line for an hour before even getting on the bus. The buses to Staten Island from Midtown Manhattan were actually pretty nice coach buses. We had the 2 individual seats on each side with the armrests. It was comfortable. but they were not the coach buses with a bathroom on board, so also keep that in mind. It took about an hour and 10 minutes from when we left Manhattan until we got off the buses in Staten Island, but it was a beautiful, relaxing trip. It was smooth. We got a great view. We got to drive over the Verrazano Narrows Bridge right before we were going to turn around and run back over it. The Midtown Manhattan bus drops you right off where security is at Staten Island. So it's really convenient. You just get off the bus and you hop right in the security line. Immediately through security in the Start Village is the open zone. I know that you've been holding it for a long time at this point and you want to use the bathrooms right away, but don't get in the crazy long bathroom lines that are immediately in that open zone. Go into one of the further color villages and you'll find bathrooms without a line. Once you are in the Start Village, you get to hang out there until it's time to enter your corral. So for me, I was there for about 3 hours before I headed to my corral. I was super fortunate that I made some new friends. We found a spot and we sat down. We liked the orange Start Village because we had an amazing view of the Verrazano Narrows Bridge, and they have the big screen where you can watch the marathon because the elites started and finished before I even started my race, but it was fun to get to watch it on the screen. We also could see the runners as they started their race in the corrals in front of us. So that was a really cool place to be. It was convenient. There was access to the Gatorade, the coffee from Dunkin', the bagels. The bathroom lines were not a problem. They gave us these cute little hats to keep us warm. We were all cozied up and we just sat around and chatted for a while. My favorite part of the Start line was actually the therapy dogs that they have on site. Each Start Village has their own set of therapy dogs, and you can go in and snuggle and get your pre-race jitters out with a cute fluffy friend, and it made for a very sweet way to spend a little bit of the morning waiting to start the New York City Marathon. All right, once it's time to join your corral, you'll hear the announcement calling for your corrals to be open. You'll go based on your wave. I was wave 5 as I did not have a previous official full marathon time to bump me up faster. So I was the last wave, which made for a long morning, but it was also a really relaxed feel. So I waited for my wave, and then they said that our corrals were open. So I went into my corral. I kept my sweatpants and my jacket that I had bought at the thrift store to then take off and ditch at the start line, and they have donation boxes all over. So anything you bring with you, whether it's a portable charger that you don't want to carry with you, whether it's your warm-up gear, or even I brought a book, they have places where you can donate the electronics and you can donate the clothing, and they'll make sure that it doesn't go into a landfill, but it goes to a good cause. Keep your clothing until you are in your corral because they have boxes there and you can stay warm as long as possible. There are also bathrooms in the corral. Use that bathroom because it's the last bathroom that you'll see until you're into Brooklyn a ways. There's nothing on the bridge. Grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. All right, it's race time. The very first thing you do is get off of Staten Island and run across the Verrazano Narrows Bridge. This is a long bridge. We start and then run, and it is about 2 miles that you are on either the ramps or the bridge itself. It is beautiful. Stop and take the pictures, take the videos, and take it slow. This is the biggest incline bridge of the race, but you're also fighting that adrenaline to go fast and weave through crowds, but don't do it. You have so many miles to make up the time. Just find your easy pace and go for it. Welcome to Brooklyn. You have made it across the bridge and you are now your first 5K down. You're going to start to see the crowds, the energy is going to get there, and you can really start to find your stride and enjoy your race at this point. I especially enjoyed the extra space that we had on 4th Avenue in Brooklyn. It was a nice wide road. I found my first family members. My sister was waiting for me, and it was just fun. People are excited for you. Take the time to read the signs. They're hilarious, and find your good pace.
Sweet hat.
You get yourself to the halfway point already, 13.1 miles on the Pulaski Bridge between Brooklyn and Queens. Queens starts to get a little bit narrower and a lot more crowded than the other parts of the race I had noticed so far. So really use this time to figure out your pace, pay attention, and just get in your zone, because you are going to start to feel crowded in a little bit, but it is okay. You've trained for this and you're ready. I wish I could tell you that I have better memories of the Queensboro Bridge to go from Queens into Manhattan, but this was a tough one for me. You're at about mile 15, which is when I started to feel like I maybe didn't want to be doing that race, and I just couldn't quite kick the fact that it felt like the whole bridge was uphill. I don't know if that's possible according to physics, but I promise you the Queensboro Bridge is entirely uphill the whole way. It also has uneven ground because you're running on the lower level of the bridge, so keep that in mind. There are also no water stops or bathrooms on the bridge. And there's no spectators because it's a bridge. So this part is where you need to fight with your own mind. You gotta dig deep. It's gonna get a little tricky on that bridge, but you know that at the end of the Queensboro Bridge is Manhattan, and the crowd's waiting for you at mile 16. Trust me, you'll hear them before you even get off the bridge. Coming off the bridge into Manhattan is the greatest feeling. The crowds are insane. They start to have barricades to keep people back with logos for the marathon on it, and you really feel like you're one of the elites running. There are people everywhere, they're shouting, and you're ready to be in Manhattan for the first of the 2 times that you have to run Manhattan. This is the First Avenue part of the race, and this was the place where I had planned to meet up with Jonathan, my husband, and my cousin and my sister. My suggestion, if you are going to try to meet up with friends or family to cheer you on in this section, know that it is going to be crazy crowded. I would suggest that they get there early, that they have signs that you know what they say, so you know what you're looking for, and you have a general idea of where you're going to try and spot them. Because we had planned to meet up around mile 16, and it wasn't until mile 17 that my family was able to pop in. So I was looking for them for a while. It can get a little dizzying, but the energy is amazing. So enjoy this section of Manhattan. The Bronx come in right at the end of First Avenue in Manhattan. You pop into the Boogie Down Bronx for miles 20 to 21. This is the part of the race where some people talk about hitting that 20-mile wall. I just got excited because I was ready to run further than I'd run before. I had only done up to 20 in my training, so once I got in there, the energy, the music, it was great, and I was ready to start taking miles off that I hadn't done before. I'd also paced myself and paid attention to my body so that I knew I was going to be able to pick up the pace and stay consistent then miles 20 to 26. Fifth Avenue in Manhattan is your last stretch. It's long, you can see it the whole way, but it has such great energy. There are so many people. There are charity cheering zones. I had friends popping out left and right, and I'm not even from New York, just people that I knew that were going to be there, or just the cheer squads there. So this energy, you're really going to be able to take in and use to help you get to the finish line. The last little section is when you get to Central Park. You've made it. Yes, Central Park is hilly. Know that. However, you've only got 2 miles to go. You've got everybody cheering for you. You've got that end of the race feeling start to bubble up. So just dig deep again and sink into those last 2 miles as you kind of enjoy the rolling hills of Central Park, the views, and the crowd. Because the spectators really are what make the New York City Marathon worth running. The finish line begins as you enter the section that has the flags of the world alphabetically. It's beautiful. It just is inspiring as you see people coming from everywhere, and they start to tick down the time for you in 400-meter chunks. So they'll tell you 800 meters to go, 400 meters to go, and then you can really kind of check in with your body and yourself and see how you're going to finish this race. It got narrow. The crowds were, coming in, and the road is smaller, so just know that you're going to have people at a finish line who are also now walking or hurting. You might have to do a little weaving. Just pay attention, be there to cheer on the people around you, help support those who can, but also finish your race the way that you want to, because you're almost there. It's the finish line of the New York City Marathon. When you pull into that grandstand area, you feel like an Olympic athlete. It's crazy. They're all filled. There are people everywhere. They've got the announcers going. It's up over your head. There's a screen. I happen to have Liam Neeson there. It was so cool. And when I crossed that finish line, I felt strong, I felt good, and really, really proud of myself. Crossing the finish line, you walk a little bit, then you get a medal. And then if you're me, you go to take a video of your medal and end up ugly crying in the camera. Please enjoy this video. That was not planned, but, marathon comes with all the feels.
Your girl just finished the marathon. I did it, guys. I only thought I wasn't going to do it at mile 15. But then my family showed up, and I dug deep, and we're here.
Then you walk a little bit more and you get your food bag. Make sure you drink your Gatorade right away. Your body will thank you. Then you walk a little bit more. They'll give you your poncho. The volunteers actually put your poncho right on you, all cute. And then a whole bunch of orange penguin looking people waddle together for the next about half a mile as you weave your way through the rest of Central Park to get to the exits. I would have told you immediately after the New York City Marathon that it was amazing, but I was never running a marathon again. I'm now about 5 days out, and I'm feeling better about it. Chicago might be next, who knows, but it was an incredible experience. People did not lead me astray that if you're going to do one marathon, this is the one to do it. There will be people for you everywhere. It's just challenging enough to really feel proud of yourself, and it's an amazing way to see all 5 boroughs of New York City. So if you get the chance to run, I highly recommend the TCS New York City Marathon.